Hi everyone! It's been a while since our last video because we've been working non-stop to get this house ready to move into before our baby arrives. We won't be 100% done with everything prior to moving in, but our goal is to have the essentials ready in the next month. We made a ton of progress in this video. And as always, a huge thank you to our family members who gave their time to help us get this house closer to move-in ready. So this clip you're seeing is from the last week of April when Jake was installing our kitchen lighting. Thank you to Joey from work for loaning us the hole saw for this project. Here Jake is adding an extra set of studs to build out the wall and hide the drain pipe that was previously exposed in the old laundry room. He was also planning out the electrical changes for this area. And here I am just hanging drywall to cover our beam while Winston supervised. I forget if I mentioned this in a previous video, but we didn't want two doors leading into the garage, so Jake started off framing in this opening so that we could insulate and drywall to cover it. Back to this corner, and you can see Jake added outlets and a light switch so we can fill it back in with insulation. Later that night, we changed gears to do some more drywalling in the powder room. We had a big week in mid-May. Our appliances delivered, and we got our countertops and sink installed. Here's the templating they did for us, and the countertops were installed only 4 days later. We're loving this marble look quartz and the way the whole kitchen is coming together. Jake started off this weekend with a lot of electrical rework and patching. He added recessed lights to the mudroom that you can see here, as well as the laundry room, and he moved a lot of the outlets and switches. The mudroom has a motion sensor light switch now, which has been amazing when we enter and leave the room. And my dad came to help for the weekend, and he and I tackled a daunting list of special projects upstairs. We installed 6 pre-hung doors and their trim, and installed trim on 8 windows too. We also started trimming the bifold closet openings, and we did a test fit to make sure the bifolds would fit perfectly. It was a lot more challenging than either of us expected, even with simple trim and no mitered cuts. While we were working upstairs, Jake was up in the attic tackling another time-consuming task of creating a new route for the dryer vent and adding electrical for the dryer receptacle. This night was a big milestone, our first dinner made in the new kitchen. The next day we took another trip to Lowe's for more trim, and Dad and I got right to work trimming out windows. Have you ever seen anything as complicated and beautiful as Jake's plumbing work here in our new laundry room? I'm still in awe of how he figured out how to do all of this and then executed it so perfectly. We have our washer hookups, vent pipe, and our hot and cold stub outs for a sink that will sit next to the washer. He also built a soffit to hide the vent pipe, and eventually we'll install cabinets right under that. Memorial Day weekend was a dad's weekend. Papa Mike came over and did a ton of first coat mudding on our existing drywall. And Papa B came back again to finish off the bifold closet trim and install the baseboards upstairs. I wanted to go with a wider 5.5-inch baseboard than what we had torn out, which was 2.5 inches. But it created some issues for us. Since the drywall is tapered at the bottom, the wider trim didn't want to sit flush against the wall. So my dad had to add screws at every stud to keep the baseboards from sucking into the bottom of the wall and gapping at the top. It was a pain, but definitely a necessary step in the process. We also decided to cope the corners instead of mitering them after watching a bunch of tutorials, and they turned out much cleaner. There was a learning curve, but by the end we were moving like a well-oiled machine. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll explain more shortly. Had to take a stretch break after crawling around on the ground so much. Here's the alternative to mitered baseboard corners that we ended up liking for the clean finish. One side of the corner is cut straight and the opposite side is cut at 45 degrees, and then back cut with a jigsaw and a coping saw so the pieces will match up, even if the wall corner is not a perfect 45. Yes, you are looking at 7 light switches in one box that was next to the front door. One of them didn't even work. After a lot of work and rewiring magic, Jake was able to condense them down to 4 switches. And here's the updated entryway after drywalling. We're back for some more Trina antics, having some fun on the creeper. This was a game changer for trim patching and painting. I had prepped the week ahead to patch the nail holes and gaps in our trim with wood putty and caulk, so my parents and Trina and Chris got right to work this weekend on sanding and painting the newly installed trim. Lots of work happened this weekend. I just didn't record everything because one coat of paint looks the same as the next coat on video. Stay tuned for a second floor final reveal in our next video. The following weekend, Aunt and Mel came to help us finish painting the upstairs trim and doors. We finished faster than expected and were able to move downstairs to help Jake finish sanding the fireplace room. And here's the fully primed fireplace room. Again, I'll show a final reveal in our next video once the rest of the paint coats are complete. But this is looking great so far. Okay, we're finally caught up to the present timeline. I'm posting this on June 15th, and this video is the work we did last weekend. Trina and Chris came back for another painting weekend and got assigned a more physical task first, moving all the trash from the garage into a new dumpster. We also cleaned out trash the previous owners left in the shed and the basement and tore out the small room in the basement. I'll show that in another video too. We also rehung the upstairs doors, painted final coats in the fireplace room, did paint touch-ups upstairs, and primed the laundry room and dining room. While we were filling the dumpster and painting, Jake was engineering a new stair design for us. I didn't love how the old stairs had carpet overhang on the ends of the treads facing the hall, and since we are going to be recarpeting the stairs, I wanted it to be enclosed and neat. This new design is more modern and focused on clean lines. And once again, Jake worked his magic and executed my vision perfectly. He also screwed down the stair treads more securely, which eliminated almost all of the squeaks. He stripped and sanded the stained trim on either side of the steps, and Trina primed it so it can be painted. And a little secret garden recap from the past month and a half. We've had a lot of gorgeous blooms popping up, and I can't wait to see what else will grow this summer. Stay tuned in our next video for the second floor reveal, and cross your fingers for us that we move in before baby Williams arrives. Thanks for watching!